Hello, guys, and welcome to the show. We're going to talk about China right now for a minute. You know, I'm going to tell you, America has something China doesn't have. And it's big. Really big. You know, these trade tariffs that's been going on with President Trump has been levying tariffs on Chinese-made goods. You know, how did China get all this gold? And how did a lot of people in China get rich enough to buy real estate and invest their money in the shadow banking system? And for a while there, they even were buying Bitcoin. They're buying properties around the world. How'd they get all this money? They got all this money by manufacturing goods and selling them to the world. The biggest buyer was America. But America has something China doesn't have. America can trade within its own self because it's a consumer nation. We consume all kinds of goods, and we consumed all kinds of Chinese goods. But it's a consumer nation. We consume. We spend more money and consume more than anybody else on earth. But we can trade within our own border. We have this ability where we don't need China. China needs us. Trump has them right where he wants them. And so these trade tariffs and stuff, I don't really see it ending anytime really soon on China. It's got the pressure on China. China's being squeezed. Now, years ago, China realized this problem. I got an article here from way back in 2009, and let's take a quick look at it, because it's important in the situation that's going on right now. So let's start the charts right here, and let's take a look at this article, China's Consumption Challenge. Now, this was in August of 2009, this article was written, and China's desperate. Way back in 2009, they were desperate. They realized the problem, that they're not a consumer nation, that they are actually an exporter and a creator of goods to the world, and this is how they make their money. And they realized their vulnerability, and they're working on it. Way back in 2009, it says here, it seems like to me that there are several reasons that China doesn't have a complete... First off, private consumption accounts for only 36% of China's GDP. That's about half of what it is in the United States. Almost 2/3 of what it is in Europe. And it's very low. There's several reasons. One is that China doesn't have a complete social security system. In 2007, only 1/3 of the urban population was covered by social security system, and for rural residents, most of them don't have social security. And also, in the past years, the cost of education, medicine, and housing has increased quite rapidly. And so, basically, they don't have the money to go out and buy a whole bunch of consumer items like new washing machines, new dryers, new dishwashers, all these items, big-ticket items, you know. In the Chinese household, when they don't have Social Security and stuff, they might have an old pot that they do their dishes in, and they might have an old barrel that they do their laundry in. And they can't afford to go out and buy the latest, newest washing machine, you know. They sell those to America, and America pays them good, and this is how they've made their money. But now we got these trade embargoes and trade tariffs in place. Doesn't look like they're going to go away anytime soon, and it's really starting to have an effect on the Chinese economy. So China's been pushing hard to try to get their people to buy stuff. Become like America. Buy things. But you can't get them to buy things unless they have money. So the Chinese economy now went into these stimulus programs and stuff to try to urge their citizens to get out there and buy things. They've dropped prices on things. They've offered incentives. None of it's working. They do not have what America has. So let's take a look at this article from CNN here. The United States could have a huge say in the Chinese future. And the reason why is the Chinese economy is on the brink right now. These trade embargoes, trade tariffs and stuff are having a profound effect upon the Chinese economy now. And it's a gigantic slowdown. This is only going to make things worse in China so that they can buy even less. It says, as leaders and officials gather in Beijing this week for the second Belt and Road Summit, they will do so nearly 3 decades since key economists of Asia began stitching back together the Silk Roads that linked them before 5 centuries of colonialism and Cold War. Belt and Road has been dismissed, particularly in the United States, as neo-colonial debt trap, diplomacy destined to collapse under the weight of financially spurious projects. I'll tell you, when I first heard about the Belt and Road Initiative, I think they were talking about $1.2 trillion. That's $1,200 billion. Now it's down, latest estimates I heard is like $550 billion, so they've basically cut it in half. They're still rolling it out, but it's not near, I don't think it's near as big as it was planned to be. Soon, they'll have to cut that $550 billion down to $100 billion, and soon after that it'll be $50 billion, and in the end, they might never get it done. Because the Chinese economy is starting to collapse under its own weight, because it's not like the United States. The United States, they got trading partners over here, Canada, they got Mexico, and they also can trade within their own borders. They're self-sufficient. They're a consumer nation. China, what do they got? If they can't trade with their trading partners properly, they're going to start to collapse under their own weight. And one of the first things that's going to start to collapse is their real estate market and their shadow banking system, which is absolutely huge. Now, China's got gold. Okay, they got gold. And what are they going to use to fight these trade tariffs with? What is their weapon? Well, I think gold, they're going to hold on that. I don't think they're going to use gold, but I think the next move you're going to see come from China is, very possibly, as these trade wars continue, and they continue to hurt the Chinese economy, I think what we have coming next is a currency situation, where China actually quite literally will devalue the currency to make themselves a more effective trading partner, probably devalue their currency, the equivalent of what the trade, embargoes on their trade goods is. Devalue their currency. I think that's the next step in China's arsenal to fight this. Because this is actually, they're trading blows back and forth. China and the United States. The United States has got all the cards right now. They hold all the cards. So China is moving into a point of desperation at this point. They feel cornered. Probably their next move will be to devalue their currency. That's the next move. Next big move for China. Then, that will be considered as a horrendous act, them to devalue their currency that way. And what it's going to lead to is other countries trying to devalue their currency, possibly even the United States. This might be the reason why Donald Trump brought up quantitative easing 4 and talked about quantitative easing 4. He might already know that China's next plan is to devalue their currency, and perhaps the U.S. can devalue their currency too, using a method like quantitative easing 4, and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The United States is the only economy in the world right now left, in the whole world, that has a viable economy. The rest of the world's sinking. The United States is holding their own. I'm not going to say the economy's booming in the United States. It's not. Ever since 2008, and they first came out with quantitative easing and everything else, they stimulated the United States economy to the point where they got it actually moving again. It's been basically remaining that way since 2008 until now. Basically a static economy. It is moving. It's not booming, but it's not dying either. And when the world's economies are all starting to go downhill like they are right now, suddenly the United States economy starts to look like it's booming. And this is because it's holding its own. It's the only one that's holding its own. After a while, it's going to be the only one that's up where all the others are down. But this is not surprising. This is the way empires decay. How empires decay is they always decay on the outer part of the empire decays first, and the core always remains solid until the very last. So this is the situation we have here in China. They're not going to be able to become a consumer nation in time because this trade embargo is on them now. Trump is holding them where he wants them. He's got them where he wants them. And his America First policies are actually working to hold America as the strongest economy in the world right now. So far. This is a very tricky situation, especially if China makes some quick, sudden moves to devalue their currency. It could send shudders through the world's financial system. Among a lot of other things, it can send shudders through the world's financial system. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.